Part 11. Teamwork.
Keep it to yourself, lad.
Dennis murmured almost in his ear as they stepped back into the hall.
Anybody finds out the king has any interest in you at all, and they'd see a pressure point.
A pressure point?
A person they might think they could threaten to get him to obey.
That wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't. And you and I both know that, but they don't.
For one moment, Luke was just so sick of other people. Slavers bothering him, bullies hounding him. Now this?
What should I do?
We have to work on your magic. Get you some defense. Won't be enough to just heal yourself, laddie.
His eyes stung.
I can do this. I have to.
So does everybody. But the challenge is, you're not thinking offensively yet. You're defensive. Responsive, not active. All someone needs to do is bite off your head, or eat you, or do something else you can't heal. You got to start thinking like a killer.
And with a shock, Luke realized he did not want to do that. His whole life had been doing what he had to do, miserable and mandated, but he did not want to do this. From school to work to household things to staying out of the way, he'd done what he was told, and he hadn't liked it. This was different. This mattered.
Do I have to kill?
The look Dennis gave him wasn't disgusted. It wasn't angry or disappointed, but it was less interested, distinctly distracted, and that seemed like some kind of warning.
Best advised, lad. Else they'll come after you again, with a grudge this time, and will know your tricks. You'd lose. Badly.
It was so strange to find this barrier within himself. He didn't want to have to kill.
Thank you. For helping me.
The bad look went away.
We need to make you dangerous, lad. Willing to strike first. Fast.
Luke felt a little sick. They walked, and Dennis did not look toward the other warriors who peered, watching Luke with sharp and narrowed eyes.
I might know a guy. His boss owes me a favor.
Luke looked up.
A guy?
Dennis nodded.
You just stick by Arthur's side, all right? I ought to be back in a few days.
Luke glanced back over his shoulder. All of them were still watching. He gulped.
Are they going to attack me?
Might try it if you're alone. Not supposed to, but if there's no witnesses.
Do you have to leave?
Arthur's safe.
Dennis stopped in front of a narrow purple door.
In you go.
This isn't the dorm.
Arthur's in there. Tell him I'm trusting you to him.
This smile was wicked.
Yes, sir.
Luke drooped and didn't think to say, "Why don't you tell him yourself?" until it was too late and Dennis was gone.
I'm an idiot.
Luke pushed inside. Very clearly, Arthur didn't hear him enter.
I don't care.
Arthur had his back to the door, facing the uneven and sharp-edged punching dummy.
It's fucking Parker!
He swung, slamming his left fist into the dummy with all his might.
Yes, it changes everything! You're fucking wrong, John!
He punched with his right hand. It missed the softer, stuffed belly and slammed his knuckles right into the jagged, unfinished wood frame.
Ow! Fuck!
Arthur shook his hand wildly. Blood decorated his knuckles, which he had badly split.
That was your fault! Damn it! Something broke.
I can help.
Arthur Lester jumped damn near out of his skull as he spun. Head turned wrong, eyes turned right.
Luke?
Dennis says he's trusting me to you.
Arthur stared.
Shit. Yes, very funny. Fine. I need the medic.
No, you don't.
Luke had been unable to heal a god and was definitely not running on a full tank, But he'd clearly been handed off to Arthur Lester like a burden, and he was sick of being dismissed tonight. He looked at Arthur's hands and applied his knack. He was exhausted. It twinged in his chest a little, like the cost for this was a narrow slice of his cardiovascular. It was worth it, though, because both Arthur and his weird eyes seemed stunned.
Better?
Luke could clearly see it was healed, if still bloody. Arthur stared at his hands. Arthur stared at Luke, face to the side, eyes locked on Luke's.
That wasn't small magic.
It was my magic.
Arthur's paleness returned.
You're a natural healer. This...
He turned his head.
I know. Give me a damn moment.
Luke would not be doing that.
You were talking about Parker.
Arthur's mouth set. His eyes flashed. The lower half of his face looked stubborn. The top looked mad.
Yes.
Why?
Because I want him back too.
Arthur then did something weird. His left hand shot toward Luke. His right gripped it around the wrist and straining.
No!
This man really was insane. It wasn't that scary. Luke had known so many people who were crazy after the Depression, struggling to survive on the streets. Dennis took Arthur seriously, too.
What did you come here to wish?
Arthur opened his mouth, stopped, and seemed to listen to something only he could hear.
What the fuck harm would it do, John?
Luke waited. Imaginary voices did not, in his experience, like interruptions.
I'm doing it anyway. Luke, we're here because we're trying to rescue someone.
Who?
Luke ignored the thought that the king needed rescue because it obviously couldn't be that.
A man named Charlie Dowd. He's the king's prisoner, and his best fighter. He's had Charlie for over a decade. No one's been able to defeat him.
Luke's heart clenched.
But if no one's won, there are no wishes, are there?
If Charlie is defeated, there is. And we know how. We have to remove the spell the king has him under. I'm uniquely suited to do that.
How come? And then you'll ask for Parker back?
Arthur closed his eyes for a moment.
The plan was to ask for Charlie. Removing the spell won't technically gain him freedom. Just sanity.
But the wish... But Parker... But... Arthur muttered to the side.
Oh, does it feel bad? Does it? Well, that's what you get for wanting to be mean to a child.
He then turned back to Luke.
Hey, it's okay. Don't cry, all right? I'm not sure anymore.
Luke wiped his eyes.
What's so special about Charlie anyway?
We were given help. In a terrible time of need. In turn, we were asked to help Charlie because he helped the one who helped us.
You owe him.
Luke's heart sank.
It's complicated now. Worse, we can't both ask. One person wins this, Luke. I need to think about what to do.
Dennis is gone tonight. He said he's calling in a favor and he won't be back for days.
Arthur sort of perked up.
Is that so?
Yes, sir.
Luke wiped his eyes again.
No wonder he left you with me. A natural healer. People will get ideas. Come on. Let's go have some dinner.
Luke would not be alone. His shoulders lost tension.
So, Luke.
They left the little training room, and the blood he'd spilled vanished as though eaten by the arena itself.
Where did you say you came from?
Luke wasn't used to someone who wanted to hear what he had to say. Nobody was like that but Parker. But this had been Parker's partner, so maybe that was why.
That's a lot of missed meals.
Because he actually believed what Luke told him. Which was good. Luke didn't lie well. Deception was always his third or fourth thought and never his first.
I'm fine.
Sounds to me like you spent a lot of nights hungry.
Everyone does,
said Luke out of years of forced gratitude.
I was one of the lucky ones with a roof over my head.
So you want to go back?
No!
Sounds to me like you're better off away from them.
He wasn't wrong.
I'm not ungrateful.
You're not. I just know, as a parent, that if someone goes without food, it's supposed to be you. It's never supposed to be the kid.
Luke blinked. His mouth opened and froze. Arthur was right. He was right. Luke had never considered this, had accepted the scarcity, the choice to feed everyone in the apartment but him, but why? He didn't deserve food over other people. He wasn't better or more special. Except that Parker would have chosen to either give them both smaller meals, or that Luke, the one who was still growing, ate. Luke knew Arthur was right.
Well,
Arthur seemed to know Luke had hit his limit tonight.
let's go sleep. Stick with me, okay?
Why am I safe with you? I mean, how am I safer with you than other people here?
Because Collins knows I'm protective. I'll protect you.
Then I'll heal you.
Luke refused to be useless, or ungrateful, which he'd been called all his life, or not pulling his weight, which had been lobbed at him like rocks.
Sounds like a deal.
Arthur offered his hand. Luke shook it, feeling very adult. He went with Arthur to the showers and to clean their teeth. He followed him to the dorm, where Arthur waited until Luke was in his cot before climbing into his own. It was nice, Luke decided. Nice not to be alone. He was far too tired to even think about staying awake and drifted off before most of the monsters had finished their threatening growls. Battle began before breakfast. That happened sometimes. Someone, usually the butcher, but he wasn't back yet, would step in, bellow orders, duels, free-for-all brawl, conquer Rome, in which half the fighters were pagans and half were Roman soldiers or whatever, and everyone had to scurry. Today, Luke stuck with Arthur, and they made a pretty good team. Arthur was completely insane, but he was also completely vicious. No one seemed prepared for him, even true monsters. Arthur moved like he had no fear, without logic or reason, and with hands that worked weirdly independently of one another. And since no one knew where he'd lunge or what he'd do, no one had a really good defense. He took plenty of damage, too. He had the past few fights, then dragged himself to the medic, talking to himself the whole way, but today, that would not be necessary. Luke tried to avoid being hit. He ducked, spent his focus on looking around, dodging anyone who aimed for him, and fortunately, he wasn't really much of a target. Today's game was Protect the General, which meant two weird-looking idols with too many arms sat at either end of the arena and under threat of destruction by the opposite team. Arthur had no interest in the idol. His goal appeared to be thinning the herd. And Luke kept him able. It took so little to heal him. They were basic injuries, impact or tearing, though that one knife wound was pretty nasty, and Luke had no trouble keeping up. After trying to heal a god, it was nothing. Though there was something wrong going on with Arthur, something that created a steady drain on Arthur's life force. It wasn't really Luke's wheelhouse, but he could see it, feel it, though he couldn't quite pinpoint the source. It felt a little familiar, whatever it was, but it wasn't good. It had to be harming Arthur over time. It had to, and he...
Victory!
declared whoever the hell that masked cultist was, and the other team seemed to have won, and a lot of bodies littered the arena floor. And Luke tried so hard not to look at them, not to listen to the moans of those who still lived but weren't going anywhere under their own power, and he pressed close to Arthur, fighting the urge to heal. Arthur did the face that meant he was listening to John.
They'd just hurt you if you got near them.
Then, as if imaginary John somehow knew,
Don't give them the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Luke said, keeping his eyes fixed on his booted toes. The pressure, need, hunger, desire to heal didn't let up until they were some ways down the hall.
You did really well. We make a good team.
We do, sir.
John and I came to a conclusion last night. Here's what I offer. Let's work together for now, as far as we can. We don't have to decide what to do about the wish yet. We don't have to figure out how to handle the last battle yet, if it's just you and me left.
Oh, this didn't feel safe at all.
We don't have a plan?
That
is our plan.
Arthur was moving a whole lot better than he usually did after one of these battles. Luke didn't like not having a plan. To be fair, he'd come into this without much of one, but that was only about him. That was not about risking another person or trusting them when something screwball could happen. He didn't think Arthur would betray him. However they faced that last day, that last choice, they'd do it fairly. So, in the interest of being fair...
Arthur?
Yes?
Something's not quite right with you. I don't know what it is. First, I thought it was cancer, but it isn't. Something, though, maybe a curse, I don't know, is draining your life force. It's not too bad, so you may not have even noticed, but it isn't really good to see that in there.
Arthur's eyes widened. He kept walking, silent, brow knit.
That's unfortunate.
I don't know what it is. I'm not sure it's something I can fix.
I don't expect you to. I think I know what you're feeling. It's not a curse. No, John, it's not. What you're feeling is...
There you are.
Dennis Collins was striding toward them with another man in his wake.
Saw some of that out there. Pretty good teamwork. That's what I call entertainment.
Arthur stared mostly in his direction.
No.
Luke glanced over. The other man was not very tall, but broad through the shoulders, and he walked with a solidity that made his black robe sway from side to side. He had black hair and light skin, and eyes that seemed kind, and he was missing an arm. Luke did a double take.
Kids?
Dennis looked like the cat who got the cream.
This is...
Oscar?
Hello, Arthur.
And Arthur took one big step forward and slammed his fist into Dennis's smiling face.